I'm going to show you exactly how TJR has built one of the most profitable businesses ever through one of the most complex organic funnels I've ever seen, right? And this is the full breakdown on how he does that step by step. Everybody knows TJR. He's made millions and millions from selling courses online, and he's done this hugely through just organic traffic, right? And it's a three-step process, really. You got bringing in the traffic, nurturing that traffic, and then actually converting that traffic, right? Top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. But what does this actually look like step by step in motion? The top of funnel is the traffic generation, and he uses this mainly on 3 different platforms: TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Now, if we quickly have a look at his YouTube, as this is what brings in a lot of loyal fans. As you can see, right, he has 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube. He's absolutely huge channel, and he's posting quite regularly, right? There's a lot of lifestyle, a lot of flashy content on there. Spending $100,000 on a random Thursday. Travel as a young billionaire. Things like this, young millionaire, billionaire, millionaire. Very flashy, showing off the watches, bringing in a type of crowd that likes this sort of content, is interested in somebody so young who makes so much money, right? And these videos are extremely long. That's another thing I noticed. Well, most of them. You got hour long video, 30-minute long, 40-minute long video, just on him, regular day in the life. This type of content builds huge familiarity, huge trust in the prospect, because they're literally watching, an hour-long video of him just living his life, showing what he does. It's very authentic. People buy into that sort of character, and this is what's bringing in some fans. Of course, right, and in every single description of these videos, he's also got, applications to his courses and whatnot, but we'll get into that later. Another thing that he uses quite a lot is TikTok, right? Now, he posts on TikTok around 20 times a day. I mean, as you can see, I was taking a screenshot he just posted, and he's posted at minimum 20 a day for as long as I can count. These posts are some of the most authentic, raw content I've ever seen a creator make. It genuinely feels like you're on a FaceTime with TJR himself. It's very casual. It gets people to like him just because he's being so authentic. People buy into real characters. They can tell that he's not faking it. So this is that thing that he uses for his short form content. But I would say the main thing that's bringing him all the leads is his Instagram, right? He's got 1.7 million followers on there, right? And he's posting very, very consistently reels on here, brain rot reels. It's just be him shouting at a camera. Again, it's like you're on a FaceTime with your friend. It's very casual, it's very friendly, it's very authentic. It really shows very raw. A lot of content on here as well is, again, that flashy sort of rich person content, which is, for his ideal ICP. His ideal ICP is probably people around his age who are looking to have nice chains, have nice watches, sit in a Ferrari, have a private jet, as you can see here, right? People look at this, people like it, they like his character, they like his lifestyle, they want to figure out more, they dive deeper into the rabbit hole, right? Then you have things like his profile on Instagram itself, right? He has got a ridiculous amounts of testimonials posted up on here. He posts them daily. I literally saw some as I was doing this video. So for anybody new, right, who's just watched one of his Instagram videos, watched a couple of them, is interested in what it is he actually does, they're already getting fed with some nurturing content in the form of testimonials, seeing results that other people have got, not just him. It's not just him that lives this lifestyle of being a trader and earning thousands and thousands online. Already starting to build that trust. Also, as you can see, he's got another page here, and we can get into that shortly. So why exactly does this top of funnel success? Why does it succeed? What is the recipe for the success, right? A very likable character in the short form format. people are brain rotted nowadays, right? They scroll TikTok for hours and they might see a video of this guy who looks extremely rich. You know, he's on a private jet, but he's also just screaming. You know, he's very authentic, but he's also like living the dream life that people want, right? People see this, enjoy it, they want to know more about him. Another thing is his top level consistency. I mean, at a minimum, on all channels, he's posting 10 times a day. Like I said, I would say he posts 20 times a day on TikTok, but at very minimum, you know, he's posting 10 times a day on his platforms. With that level of consistency, it is so unreasonable for you not to succeed. Very authentic personality, and the content, comparing it to other like trading gurus who are very serious, very, you know, strict, stern. The type of content they post is nothing like TJR's. You know, they're nothing like these brain rotty videos where he's on a jet, you know, captions like this, sort of, you know, just screaming at a camera. He doesn't come across as a very serious trading guru type of guy. He just comes across as a normal guy who's made a shit ton of money off trading and is teaching other people how to do it. And he's already nurturing his prospects with the testimonial content, right? And what I mean is these testimonials in his bio, right? People will see this sort of content that he's posting, be interested, look at his testimonials, think, oh damn, there is other people he is helping, you know, do the same thing. This helps funnel these people into the middle. Now, here we have the value nurturing content, aka the middle of funnel. Now, there was two big things that I noticed here, right? So we have, again, his YouTube, but here we have a lot more educational content on the YouTube, providing an insane amount of free value. I mean, as you can see here, hour and 13 minutes, hour and 45 minutes, hour and 37 minutes, 55-minute long video. You know, just here alone, you have about 4 to 5 hours of just pure value content. Him trading, him making money, him doing the thing that his viewers also want to be doing themselves, right? Again, another thing I noticed is that he shows the wins and the losses, which might sound a little bit backwards to some people, but this level of authenticity, this level of realness is something that you don't get with a lot of online coaches. A lot of online coaches won't show when they lose the money. They won't show that. They'll only show when they're making the money. So by doing this, he is building, again, so much more trust with any prospect that is interested in actually even working with him in the first place, right? Now, another thing that I noticed, which is really clever, what he's been doing, is live streams. Once I was actually on his Instagram page, he posted about being live on TikTok, live on Kick. So I checked it out, and what I noticed in this live, I was watching for probably 5 minutes, is that this is quite literally just a live webinar of him actually trading, telling people what it is he's actually doing it, why he's doing it, and he had 15k people watching him make money online. 15k people who potentially want to be doing the same thing, who probably want to be doing the same thing because they've got so far down the rabbit hole that they're now checking out his stories and watching him live on Kick for hours on end, right? So much value. And again, it's just the perfect mix of value and authenticity. You know, he's teaching people how to trade, make thousands online, but he's also doing it by just being himself. People are genuinely unaware that this is a form of a webinar. 15,000 people are being nurtured into wanting to be a trader, wanting to work with TGR, wanting to live his lifestyle. Another thing, and that's not it, right? A lot of, you know, creators, they'll have a webinar for a couple hundred people. Those couple hundred people see it, that is it. But when it comes to these live streams that he's doing, he has clippers. A unholy amount of clippers that are clipping up these live streams and posting them online. TJR hires these people personally, right? And these clips, these viral clips that are taken from these streams of him making big wins, you know, him maybe saying something whilst losing in a trade, are then posted to these channels and reach out to an even bigger audience online. Because it's not just people who see his content from his page. It's, you know, hundreds of other pages that all have, 115k, 110k, 100k, 125k, 250k, purely, 870k, 300k. And these are just clippers. These are just people who post clips from these things. So it's just reaching out and, to a different audience. And of course, these viral clips, people are going to enjoy these and then dive deeper into who TJR is. It's the exact same thing if you was to see one of his TikToks and think, oh, this guy's funny, let me have a look at what he actually does, right? So then people dive deeper, they then look at his Instagram, they then find his TikTok, they then follow it, and they are here at this point. They're at the top of funnel because they've seen these clips from these streams, and now they're back at this point and they're about to, go deeper in. They're going to want to find out more. And like I said, they have so much interest in him that they now want to watch these live streams because, they're interested in what he's doing. They're interested in him as a personality, right? He posts every time he's live. This is just literally, I see this as just announcing a webinar. Now, why this middle of funnel content is some of the most effective I've ever seen, right? There's no ads on TJR. This whole thing is purely organic. It's purely based on him, his brand, and it is the most perfect personal brand I've ever seen, right? This long form content is gonna further nurture the prospects that was interested of him, in these short form videos, right? The live streams, they're exactly like webinars. These are people who are interested in trading, interested in TJR, would honestly love to live the lifestyle he's living, right? So watching him live do that, it's just the exact same thing as a webinar, right? And then the short form clips, right, are recycled from the live streams to then bring the person from, seeing these clips all the way back, here to the top of funnel, and then they move down, right? And it's all just recycled from these live streams. It's honestly quite genius. It sounds so simple, but it's very genius, right? And it just completely primes up the prospects who are interested, into the bottom of funnel, actually wanting to invest into, trading with TJR, actually wanting to make trading work, right? So then from here, they're watching the lives, they're watching the long form videos, they want to become a trader, they see the lifestyle, they want to become a trader. This is where they get converted into cash. Now, there's a couple of things that he does here, right? One thing I want to quickly touch on is a free training guide, which I've seen him promoting. Now, one thing I will say about this is that this page was very dull. It looked very unprofessional. This was it. You put your name, email, and your phone number. That was all. That in just this picture here. Me personally, if I was running a free funnel like this, free training funnel like this, I'd probably put in a video, just explaining what it is that he's actually giving out for free and why it's going to be effective. Maybe even some testimonials or some results from other people who've done the same thing. Just to get people a bit more excited, because some people might even be given resistance just to give away their information like this, right? So being able to make this look more approachable, easier for the prospect to actually work around, is gonna help it a lot more, right? But so what he does, right, is he gets the key information from prospects, so he can then use the email and call sequences, right? He then asks a series of qualifying questions for then the dial team to determine if they would even be a good fit for the high ticket. Of course, the people will end up getting their free training, but if someone notices that for the dialing team, right, they will go through all of these applications, and if they was to see that somebody is making 5 to 10k a month, they're an experienced trader, but they're struggling with risk management, but they're currently maybe trading and working part-time, the current trading experience is 4. The dialing team then has a lot of information to then call this lead up, ask about their pain points, dive a bit deeper, and then potentially, hopefully, get them into this part of the bottom funnel, which is actually investing in themselves, right? Now, this was his VSL page. The first page where you can actually then sign up to then book a call with TJR or one of his closers. I noticed that this is a great VSL video. He shows his story, personal success from A to Z, and brings it back to what he's selling, which is the system that actually helped him achieve this lifestyle he's doing right now. He shows a couple little results, like screenshots, and some funded accounts that he did back in the day, right? Typeform was great, right? It really just separated the good from the bad leads. How much money people have. Seen if you don't want to waste the setter's time, you don't want to waste the closer's time, you don't want to waste any of your sales team's time. So making sure that the initial type form on the front page is on point is very important, because the last thing you want to be doing is wasting your sales team time. Me personally, on this front page, I would actually implement some client interviews, just for even more like relatability, even more trust, because some people might even get to this page and they might get cold feet, right? But if maybe down here or just before you had some like client testimonials, that would be very helpful, especially for people who are really unsure about actually working, and seeing like other people's story will really help them get over the line and actually booking in the call. Now, the questions on this type form are, serious of qualifying questions, right? Like, age, money, their urgency, etc. Are you able to actually invest into yourself? This, again, it avoids wasting anybody's time. Like, the last thing you want to be doing is wasting your sales team's time by giving them unqualified leads who don't have the money or don't have any urgency, etc. Then once you go through this, you then book your call, right? Now, this is very optimal, having only a 3-day window. I've seen coaches who have their calendar fully open for months in advance, and I haven't, that is the most unoptimal thing you can do, because it builds so much resistance. So, they book a call for the next week on Tuesday. That's a whole week, right, where they can decide and change their mind about actually taking this call with you. That's the last thing you need to do, is give your prospect time to talk themselves out of it. Because at the end of the day, we're humans, fear is going to come back in, and they're going to talk the way out of doing it. You're a lot more likely to prospects are a lot more likely to show up to a call if they book it the next day instead of a week in advance. So this was the post-booking video. I thought this was great as well. It just really excites the prospects, make sure they're prepared for the call, sets up some like expectations of what it is that program's actually about, what the call's actually going to be about, and positions it as like a, seeing if they're a good fit sort of call, right? It's a strategy session. You're never going to position it as a sales call, because that's just going to create a shit ton of resistance, and you really don't need that. And on this page, right, so there was 4 different steps. And one of the steps, which I thought was good, but also I was quite unsure about, is the FAQ section, which is great. I always, every time we do a post-booking page, me and my partner, we always have an FAQ section. But what I will say is, if these FAQ questions were answered in video format, we found that it helps a lot more. Because honestly, people are lazy. They don't want to read through all of this. If you've got some like short 1-minute videos of every single question, they'll probably they always just like pop through, watch each video, and they know exactly what it is they do for them. And then from here, from this post-booking page, right, you're then taken to access TJR's secret vault, right? Now, this is a huge amount of information on a Gamma document, probably like AI made, mostly, but I found it to be a bit of an information overload, slightly, but it would definitely eliminate like all questions that a prospect might have, right? So here we have, this was the beginning of the slide. Obviously I'm not going to show every single page of it. Using the same trading system that was responsible for 300k plus in verified student profits every single month, right? So he has what to expect inside the program, why to actually even do trading, the prop firm model, which I guess is something that he uses, student results, my story, how it works, what's inside, and common questions. Again, going back to these FAQ questions. Tons of information, just completely eliminating any concerns, questions from the prospect, just to make sure that it's the easiest job possible for the closer. After our lead has booked in, he will receive a call within 2 hours. Ideally, though, you want to do it in the first 10 minutes. There is actually a statistic out there somewhere where it's like every 10 minutes that goes past, they lose it, even more interest. The setter or closer will run a triage call to double qualify the lead. This will be like a 5 to 10 minute convo, just building out more discovery, building out a bit more pain, and actually financially qualifying the prospect. Then the setter or closer will confirm the call, go ahead, and writes detailed notes. If the setter does this call, they'll write detailed notes for the closer just so he actually knows what's going on. Contact between the closer and prospect is going to be ongoing before the call, right? With more value, content, and more communication, right? So like before the call with the prospect, the closer is then going to send over some educational videos that might help out the prospect, and also just keeping in conversation, keeping them active, keeping them aware, keeping them interested. Then there'll be a sequence of email and SMS reminders from the time of booking up until the call, and then there'll be a call or a text message just to confirm attendance 1 hour before. And then we have the call, and it's either going to go two ways, right? It's either going to go closed, bang, amazing, we just made 5k, closer just made whatever, amazing. Or the prospect is unfortunately not going to close, right? They might no-show. If this is the case, which is highly unlikely due to this post-call booking process, if they are to no-show, the lead will then be dialed 7 days in a row to re-engage the lead, book them back in, and get them back on a call. If they no-closed, it's not an issue. Lead will then be downsold to a more affordable option. Maybe a software, maybe a little bit of training, video course. If that still doesn't happen, you still can't downsell the lead, we will then just be nurtured with free resources via email until we can then re-engage them, and hopefully then we can make them a paying customer in the end of it all, right? Now, something that TJR in particular and every coach, something that TJR will have in place, something that every coach doesn't have in place, which is really where the issue comes in, is a dashboard like the ones that we implement into businesses. Now, I can't stress enough the importance of having a dashboard like this implemented into your business. Being able to know every single metric for every single member of your team is exactly what you need to make sure that your business is staying afloat, scaling, and you're hitting the targets that need to be hit, right? With DM setter EODs, SRD EODs, closer EODs, onboarding new clients forms. All this information is extremely important for your business because you need to know exactly what is going on. And if you have it all laid out for you like this, it's a lot easier. Another thing that obviously TGR and what we implement into people's businesses is professional VSL like landing pages. Obviously, as we saw, right, this one here is not of the best quality, right? If I was to be working with TJR, we would put something like this in place. Me and my team made this one for our own offer. You got the VSL here, the booking calendar, client results, and whatnot, right? But so things like much more professional, that's what we would implement. So I really can't stress enough how important it is to have these numbers at hand, right? So you can make sure that every member of your team is hitting the KPIs that need to be hit, and everything's running smoothly. You can see, right, close rate, that might be an issue. If show rate's an issue, you can see it, right? qualified close rate. These are, unqualified calls. What's your close rate? These are very important things that you need to know for your business to actually run. And all of these metrics allow us to consistently hit 6 figures a month with our clients. Now, if you are a coach, if you're somebody online who sells a service and you're looking to make 6 figures a month, if you're looking to make more money, if you're looking to scale up your business, and these systems and these tactics are something that you're looking to implement into your business, but you're not entirely sure how, book in a call with us or message me on Instagram and we can have a quick discussion about how exactly we can implement things like this into your business, so then we can start raking in some serious money. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you took some value from this. Again, if you need any questions answered, message me on Instagram and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.